we go, part 3. Okay, what's your budget here a year?
$500,000.
$500,000 a year.
Give or take a few dollars. Yeah.
Couldn't the ombudsman, Bernard Richard, do your job? He has ADHD. He does all kinds of things. He's full of energy. Couldn't he do this job?
Well, look, I mean, you could ask the question, could the premier do the job?
No, but do you have that much complaint about language? That's what,
Well, the job has two mandates. One is to receive complaints, act as an ombudsman. The other one is to promote. Okay? We've had this act for 40 years, officially bilingual. And basically what it says is, and it's in the context, you remember that, you're not that young, in the context of what
my memory.
Louis Robichaud was doing.
Yeah.
Okay? Louis Robichaud and his government adopted over 100 new acts when they came into power. And this was based on their equal opportunity program. Treat people equally. Provide people with equal opportunity in the areas of economics, or the culturally, socially, education, health, level playing field, because there were a lot of inequalities that they could, from one region, from one area, from one group to another. So the idea was to create a level playing field. It wasn't easy, but they did it.
Yep.
And one of the areas that was included in that project was treat people equally regardless of their first language. And in New Brunswick, they didn't create an official or a bilingual province. The province was already bilingual because you had two important linguistic groups.
Yep.
You had the Francophones and the Anglophones. And you also had First Nations people here, but
that's another issue.
That's another issue. But that's not an issue. It's not an issue that I don't care about. Quite to the contrary.
But you should.
Well, I do personally.
Yeah.
But my job is to look at official languages. Okay. So if I'm going to do my job effectively and responsibly, I look at the mandate given to me. I've accepted that mandate, so I'm going to work within that mandate. It doesn't mean that in my private life or in my, in my
your personal views.
Personal views, I can have views about a number of other things, but my job is to deal with that. And I feel that there's a need for it. Now,
shouldn't the Aboriginal language be known as official here in New Brunswick? I mean, you can't have it all in the books and all the...
Well, you see,
the release.
An official language, when you say that the country or the state or the province or this territory has an official language, it means different things, but generally it means that the government will deal with its people in the language of choice of the people. So here we've determined that there was enough of a population, Francophone and Anglophone, to have an official language. And that's basically at the base of it. The foundation says that government will deal with their citizens in the language of choice. That's what official bilingualism, not more than that. Now, over the years, we've come to understand that in addition to that, the minority population, I'm talking minority in numbers, in order to preserve its language and culture, will also need some tools provided to it by government. What those tools are is it's something that you progress. It's something that it develops. It's based on constitutional rights. And as you probably have read or heard, the Constitution is a living tree, as described by the courts in the past. It adapts to change in society. So as we evolve, we realize that the minority community will require some additional assistance in order to protect its language and culture in a situation where it is vulnerable.
You sound like a politician there. I try to get a short answer. That's why I got to cut party. But is it worth it? $500,000 a year, what are you doing?
See, the idea, Charles, is not to get an answer. If you're just looking for an answer, brief answer to put on their blog, for whatever. If you want to discuss things, if you want to have an opportunity to flesh out, it's not a soundbite. It's not just, it's this and it's that. No, people will say it's this. This is what it is, and this is what's wrong with it. Very few problems are so narrow that they can be dealt with easily by one soundbite. So I think you need to discuss it. And the big issue, and what I feel is important as far as my job is concerned, is to encourage people to discuss these things, to talk about them. Not to have a position that is so rigid that you won't be able to move from there. Because in this life, and I'm going to be, you told me I was a politician, I'm going to be a philosopher. There are more answers than there are more questions than there are answers. So
Yes.
people who think they have all the answers worry me. So the idea is to discuss these things.
Yes.
And my position is to encourage people to discuss it. And last year we had the celebration for the 40th anniversary of the Official Languages Act. And we had a conference, and at that conference I think it came out that members from both communities have to talk a whole lot more. We've had immense progress.
Oh yes, a lot.
But there's still some improvements to be made.
Oh, yes.
How we're going to do that in a way that everybody will feel that they've had been treated fairly is to discuss, to flesh it out, to ask questions, to listen to the answer, to try to understand it, and then make your own point of view, and then participate in the democratic process. Okay?
That's good. Hold it. Cut it off again.